So, in being ordained as a monk, I understand you had to undergo a 100-day period in solitary. I would be very interested in hearing you talk about that experience. That sounds like a significant event to go through.
It was pretty intense, especially for someone who is basically scattered, wimpy, and easily bored. I had to every day do 3 Vajrayana rituals, and sometimes those would take an hour or 2, sometimes they take up to 5 hours. And then in between there were many other activities. And the only human that I communicated with was my teacher.
Where were you?
I was in isolation up at Mount Koya. So I had a room where I would stay, where I would sleep at night. And then during the day I'd go to the hall, the main hall of the temple, and I would do the 3 ceremonies. And then every 2 or 3 days I'd meet with the teacher who would teach me the next step in the ceremony. So it's an initiation process. And so by the end of the 100 days, I had learned all the basic ceremonies of the Japanese Vajrayana practice. On the surface, they look like making offerings to deities, but in the depths, what goes on is that you visualize yourself as the deity. So you replace your body image with the image of the deity. You replace your internal talk with the mantra of the deity. You make gestures with your hands called mudras, which impacts the physical body. And then you create the feel in your body, the emotional quality of the deity.
You're doing all these simultaneously?
All at the same time. So you've got the physical body and emotional body helped by the mudras.
It's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, that's the point. You've got you replace your personal internal talk with the mantra of the deity in talk space. Then you visualize yourself as the deity. So you replace your own personal image with the deity's image. Now, since we identify with body and mind, whatever goes into the brain in the place where body and mind experience is processed, the brain says, this is who I am. So if you replace the physicality and emotionality of your human self with that of an archetype, and you replace your mental images with that of the archetype, and you replace your internal talk with that of the archetype, you become the archetype. Your identity shifts from your normal human existence to this other thing. Now, this is not insanity. It has to be distinguished from 2 states, insanity and shamanic possession. It's neither of those. It's a systematic process designed to bring about classical enlightenment, but in a way very different from early Buddhism. In early Buddhism, you would break things down. This part is the physical body, this part is the emotional body, okay? You break things down into the pieces, and then you would see, oh, I'm not these pieces. In Vajrayana, what you do is, you work with the same pieces, but you intentionally create mythical versions of them. Notice that when you do that, you become that, and that gives you the exact same insight. In other words, in early Buddhism, you got insight into the arbitrary nature of self-identification. You become enlightened. Enlightened means that your identification process is elastic. You're nothing particular, so you can be anything, so you're everything, but you're also the nothing that's the source of everything all at the same time. In early Buddhism, they did that by dividing into pieces and then seeing, I'm none of these. But in Vajrayana, you create a mythical version of it. Notice that your identity shifts. And then when you drop that, your identity shifts back to the human but you realize that it must all be arbitrary.
So the transition is where the insight comes. Does it depend on which deity you pick? I mean, as an actor, you're envisioning other people and you're putting it in your body, and but it's not a deity. So I imagine what deity you're picking would affect the experience, or is it simply it doesn't matter what you're picking?
It's very interesting how they do it. First, they teach you how to do it with a wide variety of deities over that 100-day period. You get to explore many archetypes.
Pick your favorite deity.
Well, not quite, but you explore compassionate deities, you explore wrathful deities, you explore avatars of fear, you explore compassion, and so forth. After you've had a chance to explore all these identities, you get when you complete the training, then you get your full initiation. And at the full initiation, which lasts all night, they take you blindfolded in front of this giant mandala that has all the deities of the universe in it. They give you a flower, and you hold the flower, and you're completely disoriented, and you drop the flower. Whatever flower the deity falls on, your master calls out the name of that deity. And that's the deity that is your Ishta Devata. That's the deity that is going to be the one that has been sort of selected by this process.
Are you allowed to say what your deity was, or is that a secret thing?
You're not allowed to say.
All right.
But
very interesting.
it's a very interesting process, yes.